score, Indira?
Yeah. Gotcha.
We're live.
You did the thing? You ordered?
Yeah, and this night.
Huh?
And this night.
Yeah, you got ordered.
So strong behind the wall. We don't take it to the we don't take it when they we don't holler at the kids and party. There's only trying to do is and we don't take it to the justice system. And we don't take it when the innocent victims. And we don't holler at the kids and party. There's all we wanna do is you don't hear about it, you may just read about it, but you gon' think about it, 'cause we about to speak about it. Why the prisons be so crowded, all filled up with melody? Kick, scream, then we shout it, we deserve it better than we been getting. Now it's time to listen. Throw me them keys, open that cage, everybody in prison. Not this dirty system, shady laws, locks up without a cause, making sure our families stay broken, 'cause they fear us, y'all. So this platform, we all coming strong, looking for reform, seeking to disarm every con. Come on, and we can do this every day if we say so. We don't play, yo, the peso. What's going on? Yeah. I just been so strong behind the wall. We don't take it to the
Indira is coming on now. She just asked me for the link.
Oh, you should be here. Better late than never.
I know. Hey, all of my people out there. Hi, Wilfredo, KP2 Right, Jolie, how you guys are doing? This is the Women of the War. We are, God, this is almost the end of the year. This is it. Like, we coming into 2022 real quick. It's hitting us hard. How you guys doing out there? How's it going, Wilfredo?
It's going real well. About to enjoy my first Thanksgiving with the family, home after 20 years. I'm making the turkey, so I've been designated for the turkey. Okay. So I definitely, my mom's and they had a couple of health, things come up, but they're feeling a lot better. My mom's and my pops, so I'm just gonna do it for them and kind of enjoy it and be there for them and kind of like enjoy the day. I think it's well deserved. They're gonna have a lot of family that's gonna come in to come see me for this day, so I'm gonna give it to them. A lot to talk about. A lot of things have happened since the last time we've been on. Forget it. It's enough to go in, but yo, Kay, tell me how you doing and everything. I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, first of all, are you making the mac and cheese? Because you can hold but who's making the mac and cheese?
This is what I'm saying, man. Like, look, like I want to be clear. I'm black, so I'm the only black person in the family. My mom said I got to switch that birth from another a Latino family, so I'm black. So I'm making the mac and cheese and all that.
Okay, good. Because you
I'm
can't
making some smoked turkey wings. Yeah, I'm doing all that. I'm gonna do the cooking for them and the candy yams with the marshmallows and all that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to take care of that. It's good to see you. Yeah. Every time I see a smile, it's always good. How's everything with the book coming along and all the projects that you had coming along?
It's coming, but Amazon will not let us be great. All these shipping delays and whatnot. Yeah, the struggle is real. Yeah.
Wow.
We need to do a holiday special, so we need to plan that.
Okay, we should do that. We should do that. So Jolie, how are you, my love?
I'm okay. I'm still driving home from a visit, so I'm multitasking right now. Things are good though. There's been like Wilfredo said, there's been a ton that happened since the last time y'all seen me. It's clemency season, so I'm out here advocating hard for Brian and for a ton of other people that are both in Sing Sing across the state, anywhere in New York. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening with legislation and whatnot that I can get into later. But yeah, I'm still driving home from the visit today. So, but I'm here with y'all. I'm listening. I'm with you.
In here, our girl got it. Yay, she made it.
Sorry, I'm having
She made it.
technological difficulties.
She made it. Hey yo, Pammy, she's talking about she got the bat phone because her other phone messed up and all that.
You know, you got to have the
I said, yo, what's this Maryland number hitting me up to about it's a bat phone and all that.
I have 3 other numbers.
So, Miss Lady, how's it been going since we last saw you? You had your FRP, and how's it going and everything?
Me?
Yes,
Well, you know. I mean, do you want the rated PG version?
Rated PG.
You know what? To be quite honest, you know, these things such as FRP and visitation is to make the bond closer. You know, we've lost a lot of that bond for the past, almost 2 years now?
18
And
months.
there's been a lot of relationships and marriages that have split up. You know, not being able to touch hands, not being able to kiss, not being able to do anything, you know, has taken a toll. So of course, I'm brand new.
I have not had the privilege yet.
Soon come. Uh-huh.
That case though, that families are being divided by vaccination status. That's like the FRP should have never been linked to vaccination status. I fully believe that. Like, there's so many other ways that they could be keeping us safe. Like, I know a lot of families that they continue their division, they continue to lose their bond because of that mandate put in place. So I'm really hoping they'll lift that.
You know what? I don't think they will, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, for me, what I was gonna say was real quick. Unfortunately, and our loved ones are incarcerated, and they can't social distance. They can't keep 6 feet away. So for them, the vaccine, I believe, can do more. It can help more than hinder because they're right on top of each other. There is no social distancing. I mean, in the visiting room, that's one thing, but when they go in the back, their cells are right next to each other. So I believe that the vaccine is a good thing for them, because anybody that's in that type of situation, because you cannot social distance and you need to be able to.
To be quite honest, even the nursing homes came back.
Yes.
But that's only because they made the nurses get vaccinated. They made the staff get vaccinated. Correct. COs aren't on board. Not all of them are getting vaccinated.
Right.
Nursing homes, like they said, nursing homes, correctional facilities, whatever they put in the CDC cruise ships. Because of the close settings, they were in heightened, you know, they had different rules. Nursing homes met the rule. All the nurses had to get vaccinated. The prisons didn't meet that. And because they can't social distance and they're so close, if you have an unvaccinated person going on an FRP, and they infect that person, they can spread it. There could be a whole outbreak at the prison and put in danger lives of those who are unvaccinated as well. So that's just a CDC health issue. And until, you know, everybody has different views. My husband said, you know, that, you know, if some guys don't want to get vaccinated, maybe don't care that much about FRP. I don't know.
You have to remember, it's just a privilege to partake in the program. It's not mandated. The mandate is to have it up and running, but the thing is, you have to go through a lot of hula hoops in order to get to there. So I feel
that is true.
I feel sometimes that we always want to split the baby in half or throw the water out with the baby. When the thing is that this is kind of like going into a restaurant and they caught you to be vaccinated. If you don't want to be there,
and you get outside and you deal with it.
Stay outside and you have to deal with it.
That's not a family-oriented program. You're talking about families here. We're not talking about going to a Mets game. We're not talking about going to radio to a musical. We're talking about family bonds and children being separated from their parents.
No, but I'm saying
choice. It's a choice.
But what I'm saying is, and I understand we all have choices in this world. That's not what I'm saying. We've been getting vaccinated since we were kids to go to school. Let me get on the medical part now. What I'm saying is, think about it. They are in the back next to each other. They cannot social distance. Yeah. So the vaccine for me, I believe, will help more than hinder. I'm not talking about, just FRB. I'm talking about their health. And not only that, the nursing homes, like you said, I work in the medical field. I'm a frontliner. So I know trust me, I didn't want to get vaccinated either, but I have an autoimmune disease that I must get vaccinated. And I didn't want to. I did.
And you wanted to see your husband. When I told her, she didn't want, look, Pam did not want to get it. And when I said, Pam, they might, at some point, they may say, unless you're vaccinated, she said, you know what? I love my husband that much. I'm going to do it. Me, I was scared. I'm going to be quite honest. I was scared when I went to get the vaccination, but I come from, I don't know if it's working. I worked at a Japanese company for several years. And the reason why when we get sick, we wear masks, is not to protect us, it's to protect the people around us. So when I went to get a shot, I thought of my family, my kids, my daughters didn't want to get a shot. They heard, everything that was going on about the shot. And I said, you know what, if something happens to me, I'll take that L. What I can't live with is infecting my mother, is infecting my kids. I'll take that L. If I die, I die. But I'm not going to, I care about them. And that was my decision. I care about my fellow, my neighbors. I care about my coworkers. I care about the people. I'm protecting everybody around me. That I can care less about myself. I can't live with knowing that I may have infected an elderly person, a immunocompromised person. I can't live with that on my conscience. I really can't. I'd rather die myself. I can't live with knowing that I could have done something and I hurt somebody.
And that's something for myself, being inside at the time when it happened, prior to me taking it. I chose not to partake in the visit when the visit opened up, because I didn't want my moms and my pops that have pre-existing conditions to then not catch it from me, but be able to catch it from somebody that didn't want to vaccinate. And then what happens then, y'all, if I felt some type of way and I felt he coughed on my mom's and everything, like, look, let me tell you something. I take it, I'm a couple of years away from what I used to be. So my thing is, all of a sudden that creates a situation where somebody's going to lose a lung. Because if I felt you infected my mom's, and all of a sudden you felt that you were going to just say, oh, it's okay, and it's all right, if my mom's ended up passing on before I got home. So I want you to understand, for everybody on the line.
And then, like Kalia, you have elderly people in prison that can't.
It's very unique, man. It's very unique. And I didn't do that.
I know people who died from COVID. I know people who's a lot of friends, a lot of people that I never thought would have died until they're maybe 80. People my age, and I can't not get vaccinated and take somebody's parents away from them because I'm just worried about myself. I can't do it. I took the shot. We take so many risks in life. Anyway. You take birth control. You don't know what the side effects are in 20 years. People inject all sorts of stuff in their bodies. You encounter stuff every day. You don't know until you encounter it that you're allergic to it. Everything in life is a risk.
It's a risk.
Out of everybody in my family who got vaccinated, one person had a side effect. That person was more prone or sensitive. So everybody's sensitivities are a little different. You might be that 1 in a million. I was scared because I'm normally that 1 in a million. And I'm like, oh damn, I'm gonna die. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't care. I'd rather be me. But everything we do in life is a risk. You know what I'm saying?
And me too. Kalia, go ahead. What you was gonna say? I'm sorry. Go, Kalia.
I mean, we could go on about this for all night, but the truth is, our loved ones are there, and my father is one of the biggest germaphobes in the world. Like today, you saw my Facebook post. I posted on Facebook how it's giving me anxiety to go to the store and people are breathing over me, trying to help me
Yes.
without a mask. It's giving me anxiety because not only, like, I have young boys, they're under the age of 5 who cannot get vaccinated.
Right.
And I don't want to bring anything to them, even in a classroom. I get it, a mask is optional, but where I stand is also optional as well. So if you don't want me to teach from behind my desk and 12 feet away from you, I suggest you put on your mask. And even then, they have a choice and I have a choice. I'm kind of shocked because my dad probably has not received the vaccine ever, and I don't know if he got this COVID vaccine because of religious reasons, but I'm just happy they gave them an opportunity to choose whether or not they get the vaccine, because they could have made it no choice, like mandatory. All of y'all have to get it. So
I mean, it hits home for me because even the doctors and nurses, they were saying the hospitals were flooded with people that weren't unvaccinated and got sick. I mean, I know people that didn't die of COVID, but were getting cancer treatments and couldn't get the care that they were supposed to get and died. My cousin died December of last year. And she wouldn't have died if the hospitals weren't filled with people that got COVID. You know, this pandemic is hard on all of us. The least I can do for my part is protect the people around me. I don't want someone to lose their daughter. I don't want someone to lose their mother. You know, I can die. If I'm dead, I don't know anything, but I can't live with, no, if you're dead, you don't know anything. Like, I'm dead.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But I cannot live. I can't live with.
I was so against it. Like, because I already take needles every day. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it. But I waited and I looked at the statistics and I listened to my doctor. Am I glad I took it? Yes, I am. Because that's one less thing I have to worry about. But I'm also, they got a whole bunch of other stuff of you're O positive. Yes, I am O positive. I mean, I have worked nonstop. And by God's grace and mercy, I have not gotten sick. It's just, and I think it's the luck of the, and I'm not saying the luck of the draw, but I feel like we all are gonna die of something. Maybe it was these people's turn to die. We don't know that. But I mean, everybody is just putting so much resilience against. I'm not taking it like when we work with the police department, just for our house, I asked the officer, he has 17 years, and I said, why are you not taking a shot? Like, come on, let's be real. He said, because they're making me. He said, now if they make me do this, what they gonna make me do next?
I'm surprised they're not making a.
How many of us say every day, I would die for my mother, I would die for my kid?
But their union is strong, man. Their union is strong, and just like correctional union, because the correctional officers, when I was inside, were the first ones to start to take the vaccine when it was made available. So they were about half of them was on the fence. I say about 50% of them took it. Then after that, when they started making it mandated for them to get tested every single day, I say another 20% jumped on board. So I would say before I left in July, 70% of the correctional officers in Sing Sing were vaccinated.
But
I know now all the volunteers that come in have to be vaccinated. All the Osborne volunteers, all the college professors, everybody that's not a DOCS employee has to be tested, has to be vaccinated.
Not true. They just released this week. They just released that volunteers have to vax or test. It's not only vax. And only statewide, only 55% of the state officers are the state staff in general, DOC staff. 55% are vaccinated, and 51% of the population. Those numbers just were released.
Let's play the devil's advocate, because we have both sides. You have families that, every day I would die for my kids. I would die for my mother. You know, people say that every day. I would die for my family. I'm gonna take the shot from my family. in order for my family not to be broken up, that's a small thing. You have people that their view is enough is enough. I want to see my loved one. I'm going to get the shot. And then you have people that don't want to get the shot. So either way that you look at it, families are being broken apart because they're not letting us visit without masks or kiss because there's unvaccinated people there. So there's people who are vaccinated whose families have gotten broken up because it can't go back to normal. So till everybody gets on the same page and everybody meets the guidelines, it's not going to go back to normal. Either way, families are being broken up on both sides.
I just feel like everybody needs to use the golden rule and just be kind. And in this given a situation, ideally, I would hope that they would let some of the people out of prison so we could do like, so they could do social distancing. But that's not going to happen. So in order to be kind, we just need to do what's best for everybody. And at this point, I mean, honestly, they had me when they told me I couldn't travel because I wasn't vaccinated. Like, in order to go to Hawaii, you got to be fully vaccinated. So, hey, sign me up. Where to get the shot? Because I'm getting it. Because my family will be broken up if I don't get to travel. So, it gets simple to me.
The thing that frustrates me the most is people operate under the belief that once you get the vaccine, you can't pass the virus to anyone.
But it's a weakened version of the virus. It's not strong. If I'm vaccinated, I get the virus. The doctor, they told me this because I was exposed to someone who was vaccinated and got the virus from his daughter who was unvaccinated. And I went to get a rapid and they said, you know what? The chance of a vaccinated person passing it full strength to a vaccinated person is very low because it's such a weakened version of the virus. It's not going to kill me. It's going to kill me if I pass it to someone who's not. It's going to kill the unvaccinated person. It's not going to kill me. It's going to be so weak. You know, so it's a very weakened
medically doesn't make sense
version.
But it's okay. I'm gonna, because this isn't related to prison anymore, so I think I'm just gonna drop it. But that what your doctor told you that makes zero sense.
Well, this is what all the medical professionals are saying.
Right.
And I listen to them because they have the degrees and they study that. That's why I listen to them. I can't argue with the doctor because I don't have the knowledge to be able to argue with the doctor. That's what they went to school for. I can't, they're the specialists, I'm not. So when you get surgery, you trust the doctor. I trust the doctor.
Right.
I've been taking the vaccine since kindergarten. I drink out of the water hose. I did all of that stuff. And I've been to the prison and I see what they eat. And my father, he tried to do the little kosher diet for religious purposes and everything, but I see what they eat. And believe me, that vaccination ain't no worse than that food.
Dr. Johnson & Johnson, man. So out of that 7 million, when they had 9 with liver disease, I passed the odds. So, I mean, April 29th of this year, I took it inside. And I rolled up my sleeve. I was one of the first ones that decided to take it. I just felt like it was time. I didn't want to die behind a wall. I didn't want somebody to bring this new variant to me. And I couldn't sustain it as I got older. So I decided this is what I'm doing. And a lot of brothers inside decided to do that. And a lot that went on the visits had decided they want to do that. There are still some that don't. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with their opinion. I think everyone's entitled to their own choice. But when it rolls over now, and this is segueing now into the visitor room thing that we've been talking about, because we touched upon it back and forth, the segue, now you see the visitor room turn into full-blown chaos. Because now all of a sudden in certain prisons, they want to have no distancing. In certain prisons, there's allowed touching. So now that the women, the families are now finding out, now they're holding the superintendent of 6 feet to the fire, and they want him to make some type of blanket decision on far as what's going on to the visiting. So to me, it's like when we all, and me included, when we hollered at Nancy Fernandez, all of us started to make this noise. Now, I think Pammy told me earlier that everybody now can heat up their food the regular way now.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so my thing is that if we talking about unity now, because we alluded to that a little bit earlier before we came on, there has to be some form of unity that's going on to the families. Because I heard from the grapevine, Nancy Fernandez got over 75 emails about that particular thing.
Hey,
So what I want to do is I want to be clear that the voice isn't from the men inside that are from the process. The voice is from the families that are outside flooding emails to Albany to let them know what's going on. What the superintendent now tried to do, like this plausible deniability, like this is some type of Secret Service op, G14 classified, that he didn't know what was going on in his jet.
yeah.
You know, so let's just be clear. Like,
I'm willing to accept baby steps.
my whole thing is for y'all. I was already inside. So to me, I look at it as we gonna be all right because we already dealt with a whole bunch of stuff far from this. And I feel everybody on the line that has a loved one has kind of sort of got this small little taste of what we go through. But my thing is we okay. I just don't want it to roll over to y'all. I have to sit here and I have to listen to my sisters come and tell me what's going on. I have to go ahead and reach inside to try to find somebody to go ahead and find out what's going on to give you a sense of direction on who to write. Because y'all are the strongest voices, because inside they know we're wards of the state. Well, we're gonna cry and we're gonna boo-hoo, but if it gets too much, they're gonna transfer us out and they're gonna start over. But when y'all start complaining,
right,
that is the reason why in less than 5 days, that already got
and we just want baby steps a little at a time. Like there's no reason, there's no other facility that I know of, disclaimer, that has 7 feet of distance between myself.
Touch his hand, damn it.
Why can't we touch hands? We can sanitize. That's what sanitize is for, like baby steps, baby steps. Touch. Part of intimacy is touch. You know, touching a hand is intimacy, right, Jolene? Like baby steps, if we can slowly get back to normal, get closer, eye to eye where we can hear as opposed to yelling, hold hands, something, like give us something. Like it can't just stay the same.
And then they get mad when we make up things like throw popcorn at each other. What the hell do you want us to do?
That's you.
Hold on.
No, that's Pam.
We talking to somebody that belongs in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most visits in a year. So hold on a second. Hey, yo, Khalil, I want to be clear. We're talking to someone that should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for the amount of visits in one fiscal year for the Department of Corrections. And her name is Pamela Hayes, AKA Pammy. So let's get this all out the way right now.
Pamela Liggins now.
We have to create stuff like, we have to create something different. And they no, seriously, they thought we were, well, first of all, they thought we were passing drugs. So then they come over to us and was like, look here, y'all better stop throwing popcorn because we got in trouble. We was looking and looking. They was like, no, they're playing. They're throwing popcorn at each other. Like, come on, like, can we have some type of normalcy where I can touch his hand? And when he starts the war with the popcorn, not me.
But seriously, we just need to make baby steps.
Like, yeah, baby steps.
And it's frustrating
like,
because I feel like they're not trying.
You can't play cards. You can't play no type of games anymore. None of that. You can't even have like we used to, before COVID, we used to go over his legal work on the visit. We would both have our own and like writing utensils, all that. We can't do none of that no more.
Yeah, like, it don't make no sense. I was reading today with the nursing homes, they put out something, I think November 16th. And the reason why they relaxed their guidelines is because they met the CDC recommendations. They were in the same category, like I said, as the prisons. And they said the prisons in some states are not meeting the guidelines to get back to normal. So I'm interested to know what those guidelines are and how we could, get back to normal. Because the elderly are our most vulnerable population. And the whole, you had what is Helming upstate complaining how the incarcerated people were getting McDonald's or whatever they were getting as an incentive to get vaccinated. And she was complaining that we could hug each other, but in the nursing home, they can't even hug each other. Well, now they can. So what are you saying? That I mean, incarcerated people, the families of incarcerated people are equal to the families of the, we're people, just like other people's families. We are people, we have hearts, we have feelings. We miss our loved ones the same way the families of the people in the nursing homes. You know, but somehow they look at us as lesser than, because
I kind of felt when the trailer thing came back up, the FRP, I kind of felt it would have had like another contingency plan that went behind it to like reopen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of thought once I saw that happen and I started hearing from all of y'all that the FRPs that opened up, that there was gonna be like, you know, maybe like an extra 40% on the visiting room floor, or they were going to open up a vaccinated section of the visitor room. You know, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing this out.
The said they're comfortable. They like it.
They said they're comfortable the way it is because they can control the drugs. That's exactly what they said.
Well, I say like this, right? Because I kind of feel like that's, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I kind of feel like that's a lot of BS.
Yeah.
You know how most of the drugs get into the prisons?
Because last time I checked, drugs is been coming in long before I came in, and they're gonna come long before I leave, and long before any of our
flowing when it was shut down, flowing, no stopping.
It was still drugs, and we were not there. So now what? So we were throwing it over the fence.
I feel that the Department of Corrections
happened.
I feel the Department of Corrections is kind of like hiding behind COVID, like weaponizing it to their own advantage.
Yes.
Fully.
And I feel, Jolene, and I'm probably sure you agree, because you know, one thing about it is that I've never met you personally, but I hear a lot of your passion, and I definitely applaud you for it. One thing that I do say, right, because you brought up something and you were talking about clemency, and I do want to talk about that. First things first, next March, we already know 6 prisons are closing. We already know 6 prisons are closing next March, upstate, downstate. We already know Southport is about to close, and a couple of mediums. But the good thing about 2 of these particular facilities with upstate and with Southport correctional facilities is those with special housing units. So that shows already that the level of violence is already going down statewide. We don't have to talk about ceasing, or we don't have to talk about mediums or maxes. We can say overall from the 90s that the overall of violence is going down and the culture is changing. So if the culture is changing, you have a lot of these upstate prisons now that feel that a lot of the generational wealth that they've held on to for so many years, that's made Rochester and Buffalo and Ogdensburg and Great Meadow so wealthy off the traumas of the Black and brown people, are now coming to an end. So it's now coming to an end now, and we have to see now what's next after this, because even with the jails closing, they never talked about any layoffs. So where are they going to put all the rest of these officers?
Let me clarify something. Upstate's not closing. Upstate is still running, and they're going to move everyone from Southport over to Upstate. That they still feel needs to be in the box. The second part of that is that Holt passed, and they're blaming Holt, and they're blaming bail reform, and they're blaming less is more for some of these closures. So they're using the legislation that we worked real hard to pass as excuses as to why these places are closing. So let's, and then there's so they're packing up facilities like Sing Sing facility. Their Fishkill is at capacity. They've opened dorms in Fishkill that have been closed because of non-compliance with code for damn near a decade. So what they're do, and these COs are taking notes of what's happening on Rikers right now, because Rikers is mayhem. Rikers is in complete state of anarchy. So because of them being so salty about Holt and them not being able to use solitary confinement as their only means of discipline, now they're doing some real funny stuff in the facility. So we have to really pay attention to that and speak to our people inside so they know, like, this is being done. What's being done right now is intentional. Like, the way that they're running these facilities, the way that they're allowing certain things to be spread and rumors to be spread about there not being any key block left, and they have no way to discipline people now. It's not true. Like, they're still gonna.
They just want to save their jobs. That's it. They don't care about us.
When
They don't care
passed-
about your loved one. They care about their jobs, generational jobs. That's it.
When Cuomo signed Holt, he put a chapter amendment in there because Holt was supposed to drop keep lock down to 14 days maximum. You're not supposed to be able to be in shoe, keep lock, any of that for 14 days maximum. But Cuomo put a chapter amendment in that law that says that they can still use it where they see fit, which is a blanket statement. So if they still can check a box and they see fit that you need to be in the box for 90 days, they can still do so. So for them to say all this stuff that they're saying to the population about, oh, there's no more keep lock, this and that, it's to get the knuckleheads that think that they can go and set it on police to go and do that, to amp up their assault count, to show the public and say, hey, look what passing Holt did. It made our jobs unbearable. It made us completely unsafe. And this is because of Holt. They set it up for failure. It's the same thing they try to do that they're trying to do for bail reform. It's the same thing they're trying to do for less is more. And it's the same thing they're still trying to do for raise the age. They're out here telling these violence interrupters that raise the age is their problem. Are you serious that we should be putting kids back in prison? Or so how many legislative moves do we really have to make that they continuously push back on?
Well, they definitely do play to people's fears on the outside and constituents. They say, well, if we close down the prisons, what is this going to mean? There's going to be more violence. There's going to be overcrowding. There's going to be double bunking. They play on fears. And that's what politicians do. And it's not true. They put out the numbers of what the capacity was at some of the prisons. I believe downstate was like at 600 and their capacity was 1,200. And they have about 600 COs. And that doesn't make sense. There's one CO to one, that really doesn't make sense. But what didn't make sense to me was downstate and Sing and Fishkill, of course, they're one of the closer prisons to New York City, and 70% of incarcerated people are from the downstate region. So I personally think they should have kept downstate open because we're trying to move people closer to their families.
It's just
but
a
as far as
the downstate is just a reception. They have
exactly
that takes everybody as process. It's not general population.
But here's the thing: the correctional officers, they're crying about, oh, we're going to lose our job. We don't care. Look, we don't pay taxes and we don't pay your salary for you to sit around and have nothing to do. There was one facility where there's double the COs than I think the Southport. One of those double the COs, and there was. I mean, we're not paying your salary to sit around and do nothing, so your kids can get paid off, mass incarceration. The incarceration rates went down in New York State. We don't have that many bodies, so we have to close a prison down upstate. So be it. You know what I'm saying? What are we supposed to do? Incarcerate more people so you can keep your jobs? I don't, what do they want us to do? I don't get it.
It's not our fault that you invested in a bullshit career. Like you invested in a career that profits off other people's suffering.
Exactly.
So find a new career.
And they're not losing their jobs. They're not losing their jobs. Let's make that clear.
Losing their jobs. Anyone that's losing their jobs,
they can relocate. Exactly.
There's two things any state employee can do at any time. They can go to the Office of Career Mobility and be reassigned to any position that's in their same pay grade.
Exactly.
Across the state. Also, any CO right now if they decide that they don't want to go to another corrections facility, they go right on a preferred list, and the first position that opens up, they get. They're not laid off. They're not losing a job. They get reassigned to a job. DOT and Department of Labor right now are taking in any corrections officers that don't want to go into another corrections position.
That's true. That's true. But they feed us misinformation and play on our fears.
All the time. They got the whole Hudson Valley believing that everyone that's in downstate right now is going to be released to the street. That anyone that's in Ogdensburg that's going to be closed is going to get released to the street. That's nonsense. The same thing they're doing in Elmira right now, where Southport is. They're making everyone believe that all those 200 employees are all going to be homeless within 2 weeks. What does that say? Like, come on.
Well, I'm gonna have to play the devil's advocate this time, okay? Because speaking of careers, because I chose to be a teacher, and it's not always daisies and roses, but I rather we keep good COs, if that's the if it's a such thing as that. Because some of them probably went into that field because of all the bad COs that are out there.
There's good ones.
Right. We want to keep the good ones. And I definitely think that somebody has to do it, which is why it is a career. I just want the ones that want to be there to stay and the ones that don't want to be there to leave.
It's hard to even tell that because a lot of them are horrible. I mean, they might come in like, oh, I'm gonna, help or whatever. But then the rotten apples, they kind of like flood through the whole thing, so they all become rotten apples. It's just, I don't know.
Because they drive anyone that won't get with their program. Because anyone that's halfway good in New York's force of COs, they get driven out real fast because there's so much corruption around them. They don't want to be involved in that. They don't. Yeah. And then, oh man, I could tell you stories upon stories about these corrupted minds.
Yeah, but
oh no, I can tell you too. I just write a book.
Give you a little more pushback.
What you said?
I'm gonna give you a lot of pushback. There's a lot of dudes that, whether we want to admit it or not, I got 20 years under my belt. There's a lot of dudes that if they get let out right now, they're gonna commit crime. So I want to just be clear right now on this line, and I've never been one to go ahead and bite my tongue, that there are some people inside that belong inside. Because I know when they come out, they're gonna wreak havoc on their communities again.
There's people on the outside that belong in the inside.
Yeah, so it can go both ways. So to me, sometimes I feel like this ain't the CO bashing network. I just want to go ahead and be clear with that. Because the system was broken from a lot of institutional racism from the beginning. The system designed to do what it was going to do since Jim Crow. So I just want to be clear about that. I'm not going to split hairs and go back and forth with who's a good CO or who's not a good CO. A lot of them come in with good intentions, but they get this cronyism when they're indoctrinated, where they get on this homeboy stuff, and it's like a gang. They're the second biggest gang other than the NYPD. They come in, they do what they do, they protect their own. But the thing is, though, is what I have to hold the prisoners to is a form of responsibility and accountability to don't get caught up in that, because you're supposed to work on getting yourself out. So if you're not working on getting yourself out and you're also part of the problem, you're just the anchor around everybody else's neck that's trying to get out and make a parole board for the first time, or somebody trying to get clemency that's part of the other statistic of violence, of drug abuse, and a lot of other things of gang activity. So I want to be clear, because I didn't start off just on this side. I was all the way to the left on the other side. But sometimes
I don't think we want to bash.
Are
you saying we're bashing?
Sometimes I feel like
I might be bashing.
I feel like with Kalia, sometimes I just like to always take it there, because I like to hold the men inside feet to the fire, because a lot of times they're not doing their best. There's some that are, but they're not doing their best because they want to rebel. They're not doing their best. I just want to be clear sometimes, and I don't like to always take it there, but sometimes if the men were doing what they were supposed to be doing for a longer period of time, except the last 5 years that they were going to the board, there'd be a lot less trouble than there is right now.
Well, I think what
you this, Alfredo, if they brought back good time and maritime, you think it would change the dynamics of prison?
Nope. Because
people
do what they want anyway, because everybody doesn't buy into the rehabilitation side. Everybody feels that there's nothing wrong with them. Everybody puts pressure on all the women on the call when they want the package, they want the polo, they want the new Timberlands, they want all that, and they don't understand that they are a dependent that is a ward of the state. What they don't want to understand is they're supposed to make sure that their loved ones don't have to carry water, that they don't have to carry seasoning, that they don't have to carry vegetables on the FRP, that they should be shaking their tail feather and making sure that happens on their own inside, with the economic system that's inside, the underground economic system that has been flourishing since the beginning of time inside. So I feel sometimes the men don't always hold themselves to a level of accountability as providers, as professors of love and protectors, as they like to profess in those letters and in those email messages. And those
I had to, trust me, I had to give a couple talkings to, because I'm like, if you want to help me,
so what I'm saying is,
don't ask me for no polo, don't ask me for this. You ask me for a need. Is it a want or is it a need? I don't do wants. I don't do wants. If you want to help me, if you need something, I can do it. But if you want something, you don't need it, don't ask me for it. Because
I just like
you not being a diva is helping me.
Sometimes for a lot of my sisters on the line, I always ain't got no hair on my tongue with it, because I just left less than about 120 days ago. And I'm not gonna let nobody jump on my sisters' backs with the holidays and all that. Like they not putting in they got their own jobs that they got to deal with. They got their own careers. They got their own rent. They got their own phone. They got their own internet, and they got to look grown and sexy. That's what they supposed to do, because that's how they make their money.
I will fight on and let them know.
You know what I'm saying? That's how they make their money. So sometimes I feel like
we don't make our money by being grown and sexy.
Sometimes, yes, y'all do. Because if y'all don't, listen, one thing I know about men are gonna buy a lot more things if it looks a little shiny on the other side of the table. So y'all can tell me whatever y'all want to tell me. But in retail and anything y'all do when y'all selling, all I know is men are gonna buy just a little bit more because it looks shiny on the other side of the table. I'm just saying though, I'm just talking the real. So my thing is,
it's true, but you know what? And that's good that you say. And we've been laughing and stuff, but sometimes we hear it, like, and it saddens me that some of the men put a lot of pressure on women, like, or what took you so long? Why you ain't get here before the count? And you looking like
hello, you know what we went through out there?
I just had to take my bra off on the other side of that wall. You don't see your funky black behind.
Or we have to go check.
It's fine. No, listen. So I want to back up to Wilfred, what you were saying about I don't think we're bashing, it's not CO bashing thing, but I think our experience as we got further downstate, it's a different breed down here than the way we're treated up there. Look, I go in and I greet everybody, I'm nice to everybody, I laugh with the COs, but there's a few that try to make it difficult for you. It's a whole different mentality down here. I mean, even the way they wear their pants, they wear tight pants. You know what I'm saying? They don't allow that in other prisons. They gotta wear the uniform the right way.
And they're
not allowed to wear. How you gonna tackle an inmate? How you gonna run after somebody if your pants are too tight? How you gonna do your job?
They be wearing the whole waistband and everything.
Eyelashes out to here. Like
what I'm not gonna let y'all do is listen.
They talk about us. Trust me. The word gets up to the men before they come down. What we're wearing, how we're acting. Why is that? How is that?
I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna try to answer that. I'm gonna try to answer that as neutral as possible for my brothers behind the wall.
Yes.
Because I'm trying not to get nobody flogged when they get personal up close again. What I'm saying is this, and this is no offense to anybody on the line. When you come from Clinton, or when you come from Attica, or when you come from Elmira, you come from Auburn, and you don't see women of color, but in a magazine, and then you end up to the Sing Sing experience, and then you start to see women of color, you tend a little bit to lose your mind, because all of a sudden it's not something that you're used to. So then after you get used to it, it becomes part of course. But I feel sometimes for the women, the women feel when they get put through so much harassment, it's like that you feel the female officer think that's they men, and they're gonna decide what they want to do with they men and what to do. I get it.
I've known many men behind the wall. I mean, I may not talk like I'm from the hood, but I'm from the hood, okay? But whatever. But I've known many men. I've heard, yeah, there is a hood out here, okay? I've heard stories, okay? I know what happens behind the wall. And I can tell you, if I could write a book, I know what happens, okay? So when I sit on the floor sometimes, and if I see a CO come out and they're looking around, that's in the back, I know she's looking to see what the man's wife looks like because something's going on. I hear stories. Wilfredo, do not defend because you know there's no cameras in the back.
I don't know anything.
I see some with my own eyes, and then
what I'm going to tell you right now is Miss Anna's son don't know anything.
You know what goes on in the corners and in the closets, okay?
No.
You know.
What you not gonna do is?
You know, I have some COs that will tell you.
No.
Okay?
What I'm saying to this to you is, and Pam, don't be flogging your hair and all that, like you feeling yourself and all that either, Pammy. What I'm saying is this. I get and understand how y'all feeling right now. But what I'm saying is to try to bring it back. I bring the topic back, gotta bring it back. What I'm saying is that it's a little bit of a culture shock when the guys come from up top. And I'm sure for the families as well, because, and I alluded to it earlier, my mom's was treated way different in Auburn than she was in Sing Sing. Meaning that they were very respectful with the good morning, the good afternoon, the how you doing, man, how everything is with the packages. Where I feel sometimes we get a lot of color people time on some different type of time when we get down here. And then what happened is everybody's used to this particular standard, and then we feel this particular standard comes down here, and we just not getting that same type of treatment.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's not even it.
Men, if a woman is good, I know a man's gonna look. That's not the thing. My thing is, we're professionals. A lot of us work, right? We know that don't shit where you work. I've never been involved with a coworker on any of my jobs. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna, be a CO Westchester County, and my mother said to me, "Yeah, Indira, you can't go messing with those guys." I said, "Excuse me?" Dad, let me tell you something. When it comes to my money, I take my job seriously. So my thing is this: it's not the men. Look, they are men. They have eyes. When a woman looks good, a man is a man. But I'm talking about the people in positions of authority taking your job seriously. You don't come to work to socialize with the people you're supposed to supervise. You don't come to work to have relationships. You come to work to work. True. And when you start looking at us like we're not your competition. You're not supposed to be our competition. We're just coming to visit our family members. And that's what we feel like sometimes.
Women, though,
it's not right.
Aside from the women, the level of unprofessionalism and competence I've dealt with at Sing Sing,
it's different.
Aside from the women's COs, it's different. Way different.
When
my mother-in-law went to Sing Sing, she got wholly disrespected by the male COs. The way the male COs spoken from my mother-in-law, I'm so surprised my husband's not in the box. I'll just leave it that way.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. I agree with you, Jolene. I agree with you guys. Yo, the only thing Sing Sing for me now, after everything that's happened, the only thing that you got good at Sing Sing is that degree. If I wasn't thinking about getting no degree and I wasn't Sing Sing, I want to take it all the way on a high. Let's try it somewhere else. That's just how I feel, me personally.
Really?
I feel like
the visiting process
I feel like this is, and I hold it like this. The proximity of Sing Sing, that right there, making it easier for the families to come, is a caveat that keeps a lot of men biting their tongue to state it. And you sprinkle in some of the programming, you sprinkle in some of the education, you sprinkle in that they're letting a lot of guys go home from the board there, and it leaves a little recipe for a guy eating. He might be eating a doodle sandwich with lettuce and tomato once in a while, just to go ahead and make it for his family to make it a little easier. Because I'd have been there. I'd have been there when I first pulled up at Sing Sing in 2010, that I didn't want to be there at all. And then I thought about my moms and I thought about my pops being older, and I had to go ahead and eat that shit sandwich for a little while.
You're right. You're right, because at Clinton, I think, even though it was Clinton, he was happy you can cook. At Downstate with the cadre, more freedom. Well, yeah, you were in the good section.
Even aside from that, I'm a cook regardless. It's just a standard.
Yeah, but some prisons have more amenities.
But this is what I'm saying, Adira. This is what I'm saying, Adira. Even when I was in the trenches, all my misbehavior reports are for pot. I mean,
hello.
I got to eat. I mean, Miss Anderson came out 12 pounds, 10 ounces. I'm gonna eat regardless. And I'm an only child. I'm gonna eat regardless. I came out natural childbirth.
Y'all think y'all be chefing it up in there. Oh my God. Ramen and curry and
no, I'm not doing ramen.
I just feel like it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just
hard.
I just think this certain COs, they should really do some type of etiquette or something to teach them how to talk, or I don't know, something should give something. Because if not, somebody is going to get choked out.
Uh-oh.
It's not going to be. You don't have to worry about that. I ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying?
Like, it's just, they should, I mean, the consequences, it should, if you do something wrong, reprimand them, tell them not to move them from that site or whatever, wherever they're at, leave them away for at least 6 months for their post, so they can understand, like, oh, you can't do that. Like, we are still human beings.
Let me give you an example, Jolene.
Let me ask you this, because I'm kind of curious now, because I haven't been down there with the cameras on a regular visit. How do you feel the climate is down there now that the officers can understand that potentially anything that they say could be on tape and be utilized against them if there's an argument or something like that?
They know where to pull you. Because when I complained, remember
they don't care.
The lieutenant, I said, well, we could go in there and talk. She said, oh, no. Let's talk right there. And then it hit me. There's cameras in there. You wanted to talk to me outside. They know where the cameras are. You know what I'm saying?
Where the cameras are broken.
But real quick, Jolene, remember when we were outside the other day when it was freezing and you didn't mind being out there? A lot of people didn't mind being out there, but some want to go inside. And there was 2 COs. One guy, he's very nice. I love him. He's very nice. He's very, he treats us like, people. He explains stuff to us. He's one of the good ones. A girl came out there and I think somebody said, can we speak to Lieutenant? We want to go inside. She said, ain't nobody fucking going inside because I said
yes.
How do you talk to people like that? We are people.
So
where's talk to people like that?
Right.
Where's her why didn't they reprimand her? Like, wait a minute.
Because nobody complained, but I'm saying.
Suspend her for the day and send her ass home.
That's the difference of about night and day. You have good ones, right? And then you have ones that don't know how to relate to people. And I think there's more good ones than there are, bad ones, but there are some bad ones that just don't know how to treat us and that talk to us any old way like we're dirt. We're not dirt, we're people. You get what I'm saying? This BITCH, no one's fucking, first of all, why are you cursing? You know what I'm saying? Nobody curses at you. That's not professional.
As soon as we curse, we're a threat to the security of the facility and we get suspended for 30 days.
Exactly.
So let me tell you about this where these cameras having microphones. They only admit the cameras have microphones when it's to their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
They very rarely will let people know or even use at a hearing the sound that they're able to acquire through those, because they don't want us to know that they have microphones on us.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't ever use them to reprimand each other though. Like I don't know of any one experience where it's been used to reprimand since when my mother-in-law just went down there a couple of weeks ago. I'm not going to call the CO out that did it, but this male CO stood at my husband, my brother, and my mother-in-law. 3 of them are on a visit. Stood at their visit table for 45 minutes, going in on my husband, verbatim says to him, he could be getting pussy right now. To my elderly mother-in-law, over and over and over again, saying that word. I'm sorry,
I think I knew who it was.
And all that.
I know it was. There's only one CEO. I'm not gonna say his name, but I know you're talking about.
Why are you saying that in front of an elderly woman? Why are you saying that at all as a corrections officer? What was the topic of conversation for that?
I think I know who you're talking about.
And the A officer that's up at the bubble keeps calling him on his phone, and he's not answering. This is the first time I've seen that CO down. He should have been removed from his post. Absolutely should have been removed from his post, but he's not reprimanded.
Yeah.
And they don't do none of that. DeJesus should be
Whoa.
moved the fuck out the jail. Excuse me.
Whoa, Pammy.
You should move her out the jail because she's horrible. She just hit somebody. She just slapped somebody's hand.
All right,
Yes, she
okay.
did. She
All right,
I've never had a problem with her.
Yo,
don't
Pammy,
touch
Pammy,
that.
Pammy, I don't need the blood sugar level to rise up and down. I'm gonna have to ask you to calm down. I'm gonna need you to take it down a notch, Pammy. There you go.
Like, she is the worst CO ever in life. I cannot stand this woman. And every time I see her, I just want to punch her in her eye, but I don't say nothing.
Violence
And
is
she's
not the
still
way.
here.
Wait, hold on a second. Pammy, didn't you have something that happened a couple of months ago where the camera was used to your benefit when you had the—
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was because DeJesus
Yes.
lied and said that I cursed or something or whatever. So
Okay.
I come out to visit and she sends the other dummy to me to tell me, oh, you lost your visit. I was like, what? I lost because you cursed. We got cameras. Oh, that's what we doing? That's not what we're gonna do. So I was furiously upset and mad. I called Indira, crying my eyes out, upset and devastated.
She thought
But
she
I
was gonna lose
called
her spot on the Guinness Book of World Records, y'all. That's why she was upset.
Called Mr. Muhammad, who was a very nice gentleman. And he said, what? And I told him everything. I wrote up my email and I called the next day to speak to Mr. Perez, Sergeant Perez, who was still there.
That's so nice.
A very nice gentleman. And he was like, I know who you are. What do you mean you lost your visits? And I told him what happened. He said, you know what? Only the watch commander can take your visits. Give me a couple of hours. I'm going to look into it. No problem. But by this time, Muhammad done called the superintendent. So I didn't get Mr. Perez the next day. So the next day when I called back, this is how I know this is it was just like a little bit of a victory for me. And I felt like, okay, I called and Mr. Perez didn't even get on the phone. He put me directly to the superintendent's office, to Miss Mary, I think her name, or Marie. And she was like, hello, and I explained everything to her. She said, hold on, let me see, give me your husband's DIN number. So I gave her the DIN number.
Oh,
She
you've
was
been
like,
here 365 times already. Right, Jolie.
She was
Jolie knows.
It was like, you are not restricted. I said, I'm telling you. She said, who told you that? So I told her, DeJesus said whatever she said. And then she said,
I'm never going to let this lady live it down. Never.
I'm never, ever.
Oh,
But she took 3 days for me that I can't ever get back. So,
We need
no,
to
but
find the email.
it was to my advantage that she got suspended for 2 weeks with no pay. Okay? So, because when
Well,
I
get
came
the
back that
address.
Sunday, I was asked, like, I was nervous because I was like, they not gonna let me in. So she was like, I dare them not to let you in. This is what I dare them not to let you in. So when I went in on Sunday, another CO, before I could even sit down, sends me to the back to get, the commissary. She was like, the vending machine. She was like, what happened?
She's being nosy. That's it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what you took. She was like, no, it was a lockdown. They took her out. They took her badge. They put her out. Like, put her out. I don't know. I played innocent. I didn't say a word, but she did get suspended for 2 weeks with no pay. So,
Damn, they mailbox or something.
Oh,
like,
you're an evil witch, man. You evil, man. Oh my
can we post the address on our Facebook pages so everybody can write a letter, because this is out of control. I wish. I definitely. I'm glad Mr. Muhammad was there, and I'm assuming that Mr. Muhammad was a person of color, right?
yes.
I'm all for getting more of us in high places like Mr. Muhammad, because that what happened in Kenosha this week. I wish I was the judge, because
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
It's-
I was working today, because I work hard. I was working today, and I was talking to this guy sitting beside me, Hispanic guy, and I said, you know, maybe I should have been more upset at the verdict. But I tried to look at it the way America doesn't look at it. I tried to look at it like, what if that was my son, 17, right? We already say like people that are 17 shouldn't be incarcerated. They do stupid things when they're 17, right? So I'm like, well, maybe he shouldn't be punished. Maybe he was not thinking properly. But then I remembered if it were my son, they wouldn't look at it the way that I took color out of it. I just put the human aspect into it. He's a boy. He was 17, 18, just like if my son was 17 or 18. Okay. You know, but the reality is in America, there's different justice for different people, unfortunately. Yes. But still, I tried to look at it. I removed myself from the whole color thing because a lot of people that color,
you know what? Black people, we always do that, and I don't think it's fair for us to do that because they don't remove color. I am a mother, and Kalia, we are all mothers, but me and Kalia have Black sons. And
I know, but we still can't make our decisions based on because somebody's this.
No, what I'm saying is I'm afraid for them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I fear because one is 23. He's a hothead. Don't listen, break the dam. Don't like the police, and I'm always listening. You got to do this. You got to do that. The other one is 32 years old. He's more mellow, but I'm afraid. I am afraid. Kalia, just tell me if I'm wrong. Aren't you sometimes afraid about your children? Your children, they're young, and it's what are we gonna do?
Our kids wouldn't have made it to trial at all. They would have died on the scene.
Thank you. So that's why I'm like, you can't say you can take color out of it. You cannot.
No, I can take it out. But reality doesn't take it out. Thinking, I'm able to be empathetic and I try to just take color out of it. But reality is,
right,
the world doesn't take color out of it. You know, that's the world we live in. You know, but I tried to think of him if it was I don't have sons, thank God, sorry. But I tried to look at it like, what if he was my son? You know what I'm saying? They make mistakes. We already talk about the 17-year-olds in prison that their brains weren't fully formed or they weren't fully socialized at a certain 25 years, 30 years. And we're arguing against that for a lot of our people that are in prison from 17, 18. So why can't we take the same empathy when it comes to a child? He's a child. But like I said, unfortunately, America don't look at it like that.
The reason why I can't take the empathy and because encapsulate it into that particular situation, because I'm a Black man still struggling in America. And I know there's a lot of Black boys behind me that's still struggling in America. And that's why I'm a team advisor in the new settlement, and I'm able to go ahead and see their struggle and just see how amazed they see of what I've accomplished in spite of incarceration. So for me, like I feel you, sis, and I understand you.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, but my thing is, there's so many socioeconomic conditions that are already wrapped in that Afghan. There's a whole lot of traumas that we've already had, a lot of adverse childhood experiences. A lot of us coming from single parent households where we were mama's baby and daddy's maybe. Like my thing about it is that, my pops, I don't know him. That sperm donor came through after my 17-year of incarceration, and he's still trying to reach out to me to this day. He gets no rap from me. When I mean none, I want to put a 0 with another 0 for me. He gets none from me because I just feel like I would disrespect my moms for being in my day one, from holding me down that whole time, and I'm not going to do it. So to me, like, I just say from this perspective that I try not to be angry when I walk out my house every day about what it is, but I try to make sure for the youngins that I deal with on Monday through Wednesday, when I deal with them, to make sure that they understand they don't have to be mad that I'm mad enough for them. Let them worry about basketball. Let them worry about having a childhood, because I didn't have a childhood when I was younger. So for me, when I see them playing basketball, I see them worrying about their little TikTok dances and their little things that they worry about. It shows me that they have a childhood, and it shows me hope. And I'm going to breathe that life and the hope in my community. So to me, it's like, I feel you, sis, but to me, it's just too much
reality.
Racism in my reality every single day, riding the bus, every single day when I see a white cop on the corner and I'm going to go catch the 41 bus, that I feel like, is this the day where he's going to try to tell me what he thinks he wants me to do? And I'm going to tell him I know the law and you're not going to tell me what you think you want me to do? So for me, it's like, I feel the pain of the sisters on the line that they raising Black boys, whether they young, whether they old, because you never really know in a situation with law enforcement if they're going to come out of that unscathed. And I don't want to ever see none of my sisters on the line at no vigil or nothing like that, where we have to go ahead and console them on something that happened. So for me, I get it, but I try to remain neutral with that situation because color was so enraptured in Black Lives Matter, and there was nobody of color at that trial that was really included in that. But to me, it's just so much racial institutionalism that's encapsulated in all that, from Columbia, from me dealing out on Jerome Avenue in the Bronx, from Harlem to just anywhere, that I'm not gonna go ahead and look, man, our boys, our Black and brown boys need all the help they can get in all the communities, because we don't have all the opportunities of our white counterparts that they've had for umpteen years. And I'm trying to make sure that the ones that are there now, they make sure they don't ever be part of the school to prison pipeline as long as I have.
Well, I can tell you for a fact, my husband, Jolene's husband, Pam's husband, your father, Kalia, if you take the same crime and you put a person that's not of color that did that same crime, they would get considerably less of a sentence.
Absolutely.
They would be home by now.
It's a proven fact. You know, it's a proven fact. And it's sad that, you know, people of color get harsher sentences. You know, it's sad, but that's the world we live in.
Let me give you the headlines in Georgia. Okay, so this weekend, somebody brought a firearm to the airport.
Oh, yes.
The bullet discharged and the gun discharged and it went into the air. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, right? So they are locking down everything to find the man whose gun went off at the airport. And I know he violated the law. You're not supposed to have a firearm, no nothing. He happens to be a felon, so they are looking for him. It's like a whole manhunt for this guy whose gun discharged at the airport. But down the street, they also had a young man, 22 years old, white male, decide that he was going to take a family out, or a couple out. Left the kid in the house, but took out the wife, who I believe was a police officer, and took out the fireman, who the husband. So guess what a boy is? They just found him, arrested him, and took him to jail. That Black man may not be that lucky.
Wow.
And the crime is way worse. Black guy made a mistake. He probably shouldn't have, well, definitely made a mistake. You shouldn't have a firearm and you're a felon. But his thing was a discharge of a gun didn't hurt anybody. But this boy killed 2 people and he got a chance to get arrested. And that's my sole problem. And Mr. Rittenhouse and his mama, because I believe his mama should be locked up. We get in trouble. I get speeding tickets for dropping my kid off to school. She dropped him off to a riot with a gun, a rifle. Like, so I don't.
Like, go ahead, crowd.
You know, there was an article in today's paper. It's I forgot what state it was, and I don't know the race of the girls involved. I know the guy was white. He raped, I think, 4 girls at a house party. They gave him 8 years probation, no jail time. And he pleaded guilty to raping the girls at a house party. Like I said, I don't know what color the victims are, but I just know, like, I know people in the community that maybe they were 20 and had a 17-year-old girlfriend and got serious jail time behind that. And it was what you call statutory rape. And here's this guy who forcibly raped these 3 or 4 girls at a party. And the judge says, you know, I don't think prison is suitable for him. I'm going to give him 8 years, Romeo. I'm going to give him 8 years probation, and he's going to be listed as a sex offender for 8 years. That's ridiculous to me.
That's why there's two problems I have with the Rittenhouse situation. One, like, that judge needs to keep that same energy the next time he prevails on any case. Like the way that you treated Rittenhouse, treat every single person that comes in front of you like that.
Let them pick a name.
Every single person, no matter their race, color, or creed. Every single person, you bring that same energy. And that the reason why things went the way they did for Kyle is because he had a jury of his peers.
Mhm.
A lot of us, we don't get that same benefit.
Not at all.
I mean, like when we go in front of, they make us out to be so unrelatable to our jury, if we even get a jury and don't take a plea deal. But he had that benefit. They made sure that his jury was full of people that didn't care to call the people that got killed victims. They wanted to call them rioters. They wanted to call them arsonists. That's absolutely insane to me.
They're able to.
They didn't expect any remorse out of this child.
Yeah. Now he's going to be a national hero to some.
They're asking him to be a congressional intern. The Republicans are asking him to be a congressional intern. There's Monday night, there's supposed to be some kind of interview with him on Fox News.
I don't know what this world is coming to or what America's coming to, but I mean, what is America coming to? But they stormed the White House. They want to make Rittenhouse a congressional intern. What's next?
And the day before his trial, the day before his conviction came out, or acquittal, let me say his acquittal came out, they decide not to execute Julius Jones, but they keep him in prison for the rest of his life and try to say that he can't ever apply for commutation again. Meanwhile, he's pretty much assumed to be innocent right now.
Exactly.
By most of America.
And also, as a side note, the first man, after 63 years of being in prison as a juvenile, just got released from Angola in Louisiana. And he's the one that started a lot of the research that went into when you get locked up at 17 years old, that the brain is fully developed and things like that. Yeah, he just got released, I think, maybe within the last week.
Wow.
57 years or something like that he did, right?
Yeah, he did. I think it was 63, but they had it down to 57 because I remember it because Lester Holt did a special on him in 2019 when I was in Sing Sing, and I remember seeing about Angola State Prison. That neighbor had got home that was a juvenile after 47, and I think at the time he had about 60. So I seen reports say 58 to 63, but he's the first juvenile that got incarcerated in the state of Louisiana, and he finally got released after like over 50 years in prison.
That's horrible.
The people that, according to their history, and I'm going to say their history because I don't believe half of the book, but the people that killed Malcolm X, the two people that killed Malcolm X, didn't do it.
Exonerated.
They got exonerated.
And one's dead. It's too late for one of them. He's dead.
Yes.
You know, it's too late for his family.
Yeah, it seems like we're always a day late and $1 short in our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I value life and I value everything in it, but I'm willing to take my chance. If something like that, God forbid, my pride and joy happen to my kid, I'm willing to take that chance. Just go ahead and send me straight to jail, to trial. Like, don't even tell me, because we're gonna have some problems. Because I believe that if Zimmerman would not have gotten away with killing that boy, Trayvon Martin, we would not be having Rittenhouses. And so what's that? Michael, whatever his name is, that killed Ahmaud Arbery. Like that case is just out of control too. And the jurors is not for us. And then they got nerve to say they don't want any black pastors there.
I mean, this has been going on before then. We could go as far back as Yusuf Hawkins. We could go as far back as Anthony Baez. We could go as far back as Amadou Diallo. Like, there's just been instances where I try to tell a lot of people, and not women on the panel, because some of y'all, you know, as well as y'all look, y'all have some age on y'all, so y'all understand what it is.
I'm 31, excuse
protesters,
me.
So she's the youngin'.
Of course.
A 27-year-old. Yeah, I'm 30.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so a lot of times when we talk about, you know, and a lot of people don't understand, Anthony Baez case was the reason why they outlawed the chokehold inside of the practices of the New York's NYPD's practices and guidelines, because he got choked out and he died from throwing a football at an NYPD car in the 90s. So to me, this has been going on for a long time, but it's just that social media has just heightened it to the point where now there's video, now there's so much filming going on, that now a lot of these different things are superimposed, and they wouldn't have been if it wasn't for the advances in technology.
Right.
Can I ask you a question, Jolie? I want to fast forward a little bit. Can you explain, because a lot of people, I'm getting some questions when you were talking about clemency. Can y'all explain what clemency actually is and how they apply for it, or what, because people don't understand what clemency is.
Okay, the best thing to do is to go on the governor's webpage and read what's written about applying for clemency there. So it's governor.ny.gov, apply for clemency. I think it's / apply for clemency. Go on the, and it will explain to you how to, a pardon is one thing and a commutation is another. Most people in prison need to apply for a commutation, and in order to apply for a commutation, and I use air quotes because the application process is shrouded in secrecy and confidentiality. You don't get any kind of log number or reference material for your application. You just send letters in and hope that eventually they get responded to someday. We've been applying for 5 years, and even with a pro bono attorney, it still has felt like being invisible. Like it's a very difficult process to generate hope around. But with all that said, last week on the 9th, we had a rally. RAP is Release Aging People from Prison is, they just opened up a campaign called HOCO Bring Them Home. And it's on the website, New Yorkers for Clemency.com. I don't believe it's .org. And on that page, there's the Faces of Clemency. You can submit stuff on there. I have it all shared publicly on my Facebook page, Jolene Russ. If we don't have mutual friends, you might not be able to find me. But Release Aging People in Prison from their website, you can find that too. But what you need to understand about Release Aging People from Prison and New Yorkers for Clemency is that doesn't mean that you've applied. It just means that you're promoting the application that you've already submitted with the governor's office. So you have to send in your clemency application to the governor's office or the Executive Clemency Bureau. The Executive Clemency Bureau will only communicate with the person in prison or the person that is applying for the clemency or the pardon. Pardons are mostly used, if you read the website and you go by it to the letter, which you don't necessarily have to, they say that people that are claiming innocence, like actual innocence, are only allowed to apply for pardons. But that's not, I mean, there's been people that have claims of innocence attached to their commutation as well. So, and that have received clemency, like the last 10 or so. But it's iffy. It's so, I mean, I'm definitely always open to answer questions for people. But I always warn anyone that applies for clemency, like,
it's a long shot.
Say that again?
It's a long shot.
It's a long shot. It's absolutely a long shot.
So a compensation sentence is very difficult. And within the last, let's say 5 to 7 years, I applied for it in 2011. So what I did was I told, at the time, the director of the bureau was Donald D. Fries. I told him, yo, listen, I did my crime. What I basically told him was, I felt as my first felony, I should have gotten the minimum, which was 15 to life. And I would like a computation of sentence to have my sentence commuted from 20 to life and indeterminate sentence to 15 to life for the minimum. I got denied 7 years later after there was a whole different change and you had to be assigned a lawyer. When I applied for it, all we used to do was put a letter in and they answered you, they answered you. So then all of a sudden I had to go see a parole officer in Green Haven in 2012 prior to me going to Sing Sing. They told me, get anything together you have and sign a waiver that they can start looking at your disciplinary record and make a determination. By the time I got to Sing Sing, I started sending them letters and I started sending them things. And But my thing is like you said, like we both said, it's a long shot, but it's just now it's happened to a lot of more people in Sing Sing that I've ever seen before. I was at when JJ Velasquez got released. We also did an interview for him for the War magazine that's coming out next month. So I was definitely able to go ahead and speak to him. Nehru Gums was also someone else that received the commutation of sentence, as well as George Rodriguez, who was in Fishkill at the time, and he was originally at Sing Sing when he had put in the particular applications. So for me, it's like there's no set blueprint as far as like standard.
No, I'm asking you. Okay, talk to me like I'm 10 years old. What does you mean? For real,
so here's the 10-year-old version.
Like what's Contingency? Because they're asking me, y'all telling everybody how to apply.
Okay, so the governor has the power to go ahead and commute your sentence. What he can basically say is you know what, you spent enough time in prison. I'm going to commute your sentence for you to be released, say within the next 30 to 45 days. So he has that authority, but he doesn't exercise that authority as much as he should. So for a lot of the things that Jolene was talking about as far as rap, their particular bills, as far as the Elder Bill or the Fair and Timely Act, they have bills that are almost been passed where I'm not going to say it circumvents that particular thing, but they're just saying for the people that are elderly incarcerated, if you're 55 or over, this particular bill says if you've done 15 years or better, you can go to the parole board and get reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So that's something that they try to work into it. But for just a straight clemency, I've never seen no one get the full pardon. I'm just saying myself.
Not in New York State.
I've never heard it.
Right. The only people
is that I've never seen nobody with a pardon.
The only people I've seen get pardoned straight out of prison are people that, like when Trump was still in office, Cuomo used the pardons to circumvent Trump's immigration laws. So I know of one person, I can't quote the name.
Oh, I know
of one person for
sure. But it was after he got out, so he wouldn't get deported.
So he wouldn't be deported, right?
Yeah, I remember reading that.
So like in the case of like Khalid's dad, I don't know his age or whatever the case was, his time, but for if they put in a clemency application, and they usually do it around the holiday, what they would do is they would have it in, and then he would have a particular board. I know a couple of people that are on this clemency board that I shouldn't know, but I just ended up knowing because I'm home now. And they go ahead and sit down and they make recommendations to the governor as far as you need to have someone from your staff look at these particular cases and then make the decisions from it. So as far as and Jolene's very, very right about it's real hush hush. It's like G14 classified, get your Batman decoder ring, like you don't know who, what, or when it's gonna happen. But it just so particular happens, whoever goes in, and then all of a sudden particular names come out, and those names spread like wildfire, and those guys end up leaving within the next like 30 or 45 days.
But Jolene, I got to give it to you. Your husband is very fortunate because you do go hard for your husband.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. He's so lucky, you know.
Listen, we argue about it all the time. Matter of fact, he's calling right now. He's going to be wondering why I'm not answering.
You can take the
We
call.
argue about it all the time. Because he can call the house phone. So listen, because I go hard, but sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, babe, you shouldn't have said that. You got to," because Cuomo was spiteful. So like we will always second guess everything I said on the mic. Like, damn, did I piss him off? Oh man, maybe I said something spiteful. Maybe I posted the wrong thing. So now it's a whole new governor. So it's like we got renewed hope. Hopefully she's not as spiteful as. But people in power don't
more
like
empathetic.
Spoke to them.
I think she's more empathetic than Cuomo.
Yeah.
I think she's more of a friend. How long we're gonna have her for, you know?
I know you do, Indira.
I'm hoping she's here for a good time. She's not necessarily here for a long time. Just come in, do work.
I like what she's done so far.
Off.
I like what she's done so far. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
With,
There's no reason
her
her work will speak for itself. She won't need to run. You don't have to run for re-election. You don't have to be a politician. Just do work and make government work. You know.
Exactly.
I would love to see that, and a lot of clemencies.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
She hit the ground running.
Mhm.
I have a good feeling about her, and I hope she does win re-election. I'm very happy with what she's done so far.
For sure. I'd like to see more of what's been. Brian's calling. I'm gonna come right back.
All right.
So Kalia, what can, like, any of these bills that they were talking about, like the rap bill, could that help your father potentially like come home?
Well, he's federal, right, Kalia?
Yes, and I'm looking into programs for elderly. I think that he should be able to come home based on age.
Okay.
How old is he, if you don't mind me asking?
He should be 53. I believe.
Okay, 53. How much of his sentence does he have left?
Oh, I'm lying. He's not 53. He's probably 58 now. Oh, he gets out in 2064. We can't
Okay,
wait.
so, all right. So we got ourselves a long uphill battle. So
I think he's gonna be like 100 years old. I hate
I'm
these
not
federal
sure.
sentences. They're so unrealistic.
I'm not sure how it works if the bill would pass for the state. I still think it's only for state inmates. I'm not sure what the feds will have as far as elder. Have you ever looked into it?
Okay, so I've never looked into it, and it's sad because no,
Okay,
correction. I don't think he's in the feds anymore. I think he the place that he's in now is the state prison.
Oh,
he's in a
okay.
state prison.
They
So
reduced it recently. I want to say maybe within the last 2 years. He had life without parole, and he was actually on death row, but they reduced it, and I believe that he has to stay in the state prison until 2064.
they do that. They do that for certain people because they feel that certain prisons are better equipped to, like Larry Hoover. They kept him in a federal prison, even though his crime was state, because they just felt they were better equipped to handle someone of his caliber. But yeah, the state, the federal, depending on what works better for the sentence. But I mean, there's been stories of people in federal and state that had life sentences with no parole and somehow made it out.
I'm definitely interested a little more in his name because I like to do a little research with the people at Columbia to find out if he's eligible if the rap bill is passed when the Senate opens up in January. I would like to definitely like get his name from you and be able to look around and poke around a little bit to see if he is eligible and to, you know, I like to talk to a couple of the professors that I work with because we kind of been talking about the elder bill and as far as like things that's coming up with new grants to be able to trying to have some type of sentence reform where if a guy has already completed college or completed a certain amount of programming, the guidelines should go from the maximum to the minimum. So we're kind of working on a lot of things like that. So I like to get his information to see if I could go ahead and poke around and see if he is applying. Well, if he applies for a lot of the things that are happening in the state with the fair timely and as well as the rap bill. So I like to get his name and all that too.
Oh yes, most definitely. Because he keeps getting he got moved because he keeps getting smaller charges from the COs.
Oh.
But I don't want to put them all in one category.
Yeah.
Okay.
My empathy to the actual family, the victim family, but it's a lot going on with his case because I do believe that it was some police misleading because they actually found the local police officer's bullets inside of the victim.
Oh wow.
Depended on.
Wow.
So this might be a special case of exoneration. You never know. Like this may be something. This you know, Kalia, that sounds very fishy indeed.
Oh yes.
That definitely needs to be looked at.
And they got fired. The police officers ended up getting fired later because they found out they were crooked. But he's still there.
Well, you know, they have innocence projects in every state. They have different chapters in every state that will look into stuff like this and look into the merits of the case, if there was misconduct, if there was, you know, anything that was done incorrectly. I know here we have Jeffrey Deskovitz that has innocence projects, but there's one in every state. So there should be one in the state that your father was convicted in. I believe there's one in Florida, right? That they should look into, because if the police bullets was in the victim too, something's definitely fishy about it. That don't sound kosher at all. You know,
That's the saddest thing ever. Literally last night, I had a dream that one of my cousins called me and said that, did you hear your dad was getting out? And I'm like, what?
that might be a premonition. No, but yeah, that sounds like something that they really need to look into a lot deeper.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like they said, when there's smoke, there's fire. That's really
That's
really fishy.
Yeah.
But your father's young, girl.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how old did you say he's 50?
I think he's 58.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not looking for no more husbands or nothing. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, of course not. Yeah, absolutely not.
Medical, I don't know, because it's just a lot of things that's going on. Like, he's getting older, and then you have to be in there with younger incarcerated individuals, and literally you can't hang when it comes to like prison fights and all that other stuff. If he didn't have a group of people that actually cared and work hard to keep him safe, he probably would not be here.
It's hard, yeah.
Got scars on his forehead out of the blue because he fell, and I'm like, yeah, right. What really happened in there?
Wow.
You know what's sad? And I had to tell I tell some little boys and kids this a lot, and I tell my daughter this. I feel like with some men of color, being in prison actually extends their life. It's a fact that the life expectancy of people of color on the streets is shorter than in prison. And there's some people that I know that I feel like, and it's a bad thing to say, if they were in prison, they'd still be alive today to see another day, because the streets are rough. A lot of my husband's friends are dead now. You know, they're out on the street. So sometimes I tell people, you know, sometimes prison saves your life.
Yeah.
So that you can come out and live it. Well, Freda, we don't know if you was out on the street, if you'd be here today. You know, sometimes
that's something
I
struggle with a lot. Yeah.
Sometimes prison extends your life, because some people would not make it till a certain age. Like my daughter's father, rest in peace, he's gone. But you know, back in the days, I used to always try to get him out of trouble. You know, he would get into trouble, and I would run here and run there, try to get him out of trouble. But I asked myself, if he was in prison, he'd probably still be alive. You know, that's a crazy way to look at stuff. But sometimes I just look at it. I sleep better when my brother was locked up in prison rather than him being out on the streets, because he's into, you know, drugs and everything. And I sleep better when certain people are in prison, because I know they're safer. And that's a sorry thing to say, but it's the truth with our colored men. So maybe, you know, your father being there, maybe there's a plan, maybe he'll get out, but sometimes prison saves people's lives in a warped kind of way. Does that sound strange, Wilfredo?
No, before he said that to me, he said that even though he went into prison when he was 19, had he not, he wouldn't be alive today, because his brother I think 2 years after he went in, his brother was murdered. So he feels like it was a blessing and a curse that, yeah, he did go to prison. But, you know, he served 20, it's going on 26 years he served.
He's
But he was
alive.
like, he would have not been alive
For a second chance, you know?
Right.
And it's
So what you was gonna say, Julia?
huh?
Like selfishly, and I hate to say this so live radio, but selfishly, I wonder all the time the same thing. I wonder if, okay, so say for instance he got out today, will it be rehabilitation that he would get access to it? Because I don't, not to be selfish, because I feel like I lost a big aspect of my life when he was in prison. And I don't want to feel like I lose my life if he was to get out, because I know that I love hard and I'm gonna pour everything into making sure that he's okay. And I just don't want it to take away what I built.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
I get it.
You know what's crazy? My daughter's father, the one that passed away, he was in federal prison. And I believe the relationship that he had with her when he was in prison was the best years of their father-daughter relationship. When he got out on the streets, I'm not saying he was a bad father, but there were so many other things going on. He had her captive, she had his captive attention. And the memories and the bond that they forged when he was in prison, it's kind of sad to say that he had no choice but to give her his undivided attention. But when he came out, there was, like I said, he would be alive if he was still in prison. There was so many other distractions on the street. There was the streets, you know, there was running the streets, there was doing crimes, there was doing this, doing that. But her most memorable times is when he was in prison. You know, that's her best memories.
How's life insurance and whatnot? Like, what kind of benefits they get when they get out? Because of the age, it has to be very, very expensive to try to get life insurance on somebody that is older and out of prison.
I mean, I got life insurance right now, and I pay $3.96 a month for $75,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it just,
you know,
as long as they don't have any pre-existing conditions like cancer.
They didn't even want no health examination. They didn't want nothing. All they said was, if I get locked up, the policy no good.
Okay.
That's one thing I had to lock in, is say that for this particular, I'm not gonna put out their life insurance name out there, but my thing is that they said as long as I don't get another state bid, that my life insurance policy is good. And I only pay $3.96 a month.
That's
and I got,
great.
and I got half of that. I got half of that into my daughters, and I left a little piece of it for my grandkids. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we're just like regular people. Once we get out here, they want our money too.
But they should be regular people in prison too. Like, I don't think
that's a whole nother now. That's a whole nother different. I mean, I agree with you, but that's a whole
I
nother.
looked into that. They won't let us put life insurance on them.
Now, you can't have life insurance inside prison, but this is going to be real costly because they know there's the potential of you potentially dying behind prison, and they may have to pay out double. You know, most spots won't. There are a lot of places that won't even take incarcerated people once you inquire and you're in prison. So the most I have seen somebody get is I don't know if you ever heard of it, the Gerber life insurance for $10,000.
Yes.
Guys get that in prison because you pay $1.96 a month. $10,000.
You can or you cannot.
You cannot.
That's the only one I know for Gerber that you can while you're in prison. Yes.
Wait, so I can get insurance on my husband for $1.96 a month?
$10,000 for Gerber. Yes, you can.
Just so I can bury him, God forbid, if something happens.
Yes.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
You know what? I'm telling.
I did that myself for $1.96.
Yes. So what we need, a social security number?
Yeah, that's about it. And who's gonna make the $1.96 a month?
Me?
I do it because according to what I'm hearing, they would have to be buried by the state. Where the state
it's a slippery slope when it comes to that. But I've seen a lot of guys families have attorneys, and as long as they don't perform an autopsy, or if they, I don't know what the ramifications behind it, but I've seen a lot of people, you don't have to get buried. If the family wants the body to be picked up, the family can make the provisions for it to be picked up.
Okay. Well, guys, this has been a very good show.
Is it that time already?
Yes, it's 10 minutes left. The show is over. But I want to say, everybody, y'all are great. I love you guys for being a part of this platform. I really thank y'all for all that y'all do. I'm pushing this magazine to be out next month. It's going to be a fall winter issue, like I said, because it was just so much to do. Wilfredo, Indira, KB2 Rice, I want to thank y'all for being a lot of the family. We got to rehearse a little bit better because we still trying to kind of like talking over each other. And Indira, you were really good today with your fight for the vaccine. You were adamant about that.
We gotta fight.
Look, everybody got to get on the same page. You know, it's not going to go back to normal unless somebody got to surrender and give in.
She was upset. She was like, I don't care.
And the hair was going one way. She was like, let me tell you, they messing up the people for the vaccinated people and all that. Look, you was in rare form, sis. You was a super rare.
She was like, listen, I'm not killing my mother. I said, wow.
I was like,
I tell people all the time, they say, I take a bullet from my husband. You won't take a shot? All the time, you say, I'll jump in front of a car to save my wife, or I'll take a bullet from my child, but you won't take a shot for your child or your mother? Come on now. You know what I'm saying? That's what I tell people. Like, you're lying when you say you give up your life for your child. Really? Are you? But you won't take a shot. But you'll give up your life.
She was good today. She was like, I can hear
that all the time. No, but I tell people that all the time. Everybody's entitled to their view. I don't when it comes to the vaccination.
Show, and I just think that everybody voiced their opinion really well, because it's a political thing now. The shot is just very political now.
But families are getting broken up on both sides.
Yeah.
They can't, some people aren't soldiers. They can't take that journey. They can't, that 2 years, that year and a half has torn apart families because they can't touch hands. You know what I'm saying? They're vaccinated, they can't touch hands, and they fall apart because they don't have that intimacy. So it's both sides, whether they're vaccinated or not, the families are breaking apart, because stuff isn't going back to normal. So we have to meet in the middle somewhere or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with Sean. I feel like today was real productive. I'm not saying that it's never been productive before, but I just like hearing the three of y'all speak, because to me, it's just like, it gives like a different type of layer. And Kalia like comes from a whole, like she comes out with this wisdom from all the way out in left field. And she just pops up and she says, well, hold on a second. There's some good COs, but we need to keep the good COs. And the bad COs, we just give it to the bad COs. Because I like their career, because their career got benefits.
She's right though. She's absolutely right though.
I need to go to CC because I got a few people I need to speak to. I need to speak to the CEO that messed with our girl Pamela.
That's right. That's right.
These beautiful CEOs with these tight pants and these lashes, because they're making
like this.
Man, listen.
Y'all ain't no good. The three of y'all ain't no good.
Nah.
The three of y'all.
No, but they upset Indira too. And she was even crying. She said,
but I got over it. I forgave her.
She was upset.
But I forgave her. Yeah, they did something.
Hey, yo, ain't nothing, Pammy, when she called me. Hey, yo, Pammy, when she called me, I'm talking about she wanted to go to Al Sharpton, Obama. She was talking about we going to the United Nations. I had to take it down off the ledge. I'm like, all right. I told her, Pammy, just get your ish off. It's all right, I'm gonna wait. Then all of a sudden she breathed a couple of times, the dog barked, and she came back to normal. She was like, all right. She was like, all right, I'm good.
But you know what? I forgave her. I turned the other cheek. We moved past, well, I don't know, she moved past it, but you know, whatever. Don't do it to me.
I ain't ever moving
Be
past
okay,
it.
don't do it to me again.
Pammy ain't never.
I hate to play devil's advocate, but I'm always dressed coded at work. And I'm like, speaking of turning the other cheek, it's not too many places we can put these cheeks. We can got me in a case. Like, you want me to wear a trash bag? Like,
I just have to accept reality. I'm like, you know what? I can't, certain things you just can't let it mess with your energy. And I'm like, I'm not gonna let this mess with my energy. You know what I'm saying?
I come in very calm. I'm very collective. And calm.
Sure.
I am. Until they bother me. I'll be like,
She's like, meet me outside. Meet me outside.
From the Guinness Book of World Records, then we'll worry about it.
You put a Vaseline on her face. Meet me outside.
Like, I don't know about you and Dira. I don't know about you, but I smell some Cheesecake Factory. I don't know when, but I smell some Cheesecake Factory.
Oh yeah, okay.
We're
going to Georgia. We're take a road trip.
So if I go to New York, I'm definitely getting some juniors. I don't want no Cheesecake Factory. I want
Look, you ain't even gotta go no more. I'll take you to the grocery store to get some juniors. You ain't even gotta do that no more. I'll take you right to Western Beef to get some juniors.
It's 3 minutes left to our show. I want to thank you guys again for being the best part of the World magazine and the best part of the Women of the World. Thank you guys for spending 2 hours with me every third Sunday.
So quick.
Huh?
Yeah,
it goes by so quick, right?
I know. But when I see you again,
yo, y'all for the holidays. Yo, I ain't big on the holidays, but real talk, y'all been my day 1.5.
Oh.
I came through and I see y'all at Sing Sing. Yo, I want all y'all family. I don't know all y'all family, but tell all of them, yo, Wilfredo said have a good holiday, even if y'all don't celebrate it.
We coming for some turkey.
Even if y'all don't celebrate
jerk turkey wings.
Yes, you doing jerk turkey wings?
My smoked turkey wings is fire.
See, we coming.
You in a drive-by, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just wrap it up. Tell Marilyn when I beat the horn, just wrap it up.
Yeah. Hey, that's probably for the dog, because the dog come first. He gotta have Thanksgiving anyway.
Not when it comes to food. He does not come first.
Okay.
Hell no.
Please, her dog is the most bougie dog I know. He eats salad.
No, he's salad.
This dog eats salads, okay, from Burger King with no dressing.
Every day.
And no, when we're on the phone, he gets mad at her and starts barking. She'd be like, Romeo, what is wrong with you? I'll be like, he needs your attention.
He got the new one now. He got the new one.
I call him Rodney. I call Rodney Romeo. Look, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
Right.
Mark,
guys, you guys have
met a different type of dog. That's a whole other story.
That is so funny. You guys have a great holiday. I love you guys. I'm gonna talk to all of y'all before I send this issue out, because it's a fall winter issue. And hopefully, when we talk again in December, it'll be out. And I thank you guys for your great articles, for your poems. I love you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving. And Dira, thank you again for helping me with my dad. It was a beautiful, amazing. And Dira did that. Did you see when he did? I cried my soul out. She made everybody cry. So, but you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving. Mark, you can take us away. Anybody else have anything to say before we go? Kalia and Dira, Wilfredo?
Free Larry Hoover. Let me start.
What's going on?
What's going on? Yeah. I can stay so strong behind the And we gon' take it to the justice system. And we gon' take it with the innocent victims. And we gon' holler at the kissing party. Cause what we tryna do is hurt somebody. And we gon' take it to the justice system. And we gon' take it with the